Yeah, well, time for round 3 with this sweet Delver deck. Phantasmal Bear did some hard work that last game, where notably Spire Golem probably wasn't gonna resolve. Like, I just wasn't able to cast it. Obviously, this deck has 2 fewer lands than the usual versions, which run 17. So I guess it's only fair that I wouldn't have been able to cast a 3-drop, but So the problem here, as I see it, is that if we're playing the mirror match in this particular situation, they've probably got Spellstarter Sprite. I mean, I guess I can like Vapor Snag to mean that like my Delver would resolve, but I don't really want to get Spellstarter Sprited. But on the other hand, my clock is very slow at the moment. Alright, so I'm just going to leave up Vapor Snag. Oh, it's a control deck. Okay. See, Island can mean any kinds of things. Since obviously most of these 2-color decks would rather play this on turn 1, but there is a certain advantage of playing Island first, since obviously hid what was happening here. Like, I didn't play a Ponder after the Delver because then I would have 100% walked into a Spellstarter Sprite. Oh well, it's fine though. These are going to flip all by themselves, right? Right? No, they're not. I feel like I should go ahead and Ninja though. I don't really have any answer to an Invicar's Justice, if that's what they're trying to do, as is. But maybe I'll like draw into a Daze. So like my options here are to like replay Delver, where I get completely destroyed by Invicar's Justice. I can not play anything and try to like hold up a Vapor Snag for my Ninja, if that's what they're doing, or I can try to Ponder to look for a Daze, which would probably win the game on the spot, and also it would set up a Delver to flip next turn, because the chances of them actually having Invicar's Justice and Basic Swamp is fairly low. These cards are fine, I think, but I was reaching for Daze. Unfortunately, I whiffed. I also, didn't hit any instants or sorceries to flip this Delver, which is, would be desirable for me to flip. Yep, that seems reasonable. It already got its card out of the bargain. Gitaxian Probe. I'm pretty happy to reveal that one. I want to know what's up, since wow, this is the problem with all these blue-black decks, where they're like really need all these cheap black removal spells. But if you can only play one a turn because you need also tons of blue sources for counterspell, then you can only play like one of these a turn, and sometimes that's not actually fast enough. So I guess I'll write them down. Okay, so I'm gonna cast Phantasmal Bear. See how they feel about this one. I mean, it is a real threat. It has 2 power. Like, if whether or not they counter it, I'll attack to play Delver, then Ponder or Preordain, possibly both, depending on what I dig up. Yeah, I think that's fine. I suppose I should like Ponder first, just in case. Alright, so if I put like Gush on the bottom, then Probe, then Fairy Miscreant, draw Fairy Miscreant, play it and Delver. That seems fine. I've already played a land for the turn, so there's no need to Gush or anything. And so they have, you know, some removal spells that they can only cast one at a time of. So, you know, if I can hopefully draw into some ways to disrupt the removal, I can just raid these creatures to victory. I think knowing that I'm about to flip the Delver of Secrets means assuming there's an edict effect coming, probably the Innocent Blood, I probably want to keep this one, but it is sort of a real thing that I might want to keep the Fairy Miscreant because it makes future Fairy draws much better. But I think having, you know, 6 power in play is highly desirable, I would say. Always yes, confidently, because, you know, I knew what was coming. So, oh, Echoing Decay. Well, I'm glad I saw that one. I'm gonna need to keep up Vapor Snag for that. So they still have the Blood, the Doomblade, and now they have Decay and Mystical Teachings. And I guess I should just take Ninja then. I mean, I know that this is more power, but yeah, okay, I'll keep these. This also like incidentally plays around like Echoing Decay because then I won't have 2 creatures called Insectile Aberration in play. Haven't played a land for the turn, so time to do that. And I also still don't have like a counter spell. I would really like to draw one at some point, but so yeah, I'm still leaving up Vapor Snag though, in case they do play like an Echoing Decay on my upkeep. Well, whether they so I can play it during their turn, but I can also like play it on my upkeep. Like if they just decide to like main phase an Echoing Decay on this Ninja of the Deep Powers, I would obviously return it to my hand. So the question is, what happens if they've drawn like a counter spell? Because then they would be able to like decay both of my Insectile Aberrations. So if they have drawn another counter spell, am I supposed to flip this? Ah, okay, so yeah, that's reasonable. I don't think I can play around. I don't think I can. Well, I suppose what I can do is I can just bounce this to my hand, and then refuse to flip Delver of Secrets, right? Thus, not walking into Echoing Decay. I'll just make sure that I don't accidentally flip this. Let's have a look at their hand again. I feel like I should probably ninja in, even though it will get killed. And play out this other Delver to eat the innocent blood that is in their hand. The daze isn't looking so hot at the moment, but there's a reasonable chance that if they like Mystical Teachings for a spell, I can then daze the spell that they search for. And obviously they've only got 6 mana, so if they flash back Mystical Teachings, I can still daze that. They really do have lots of removal spells. Alright, they got a 1 mana spell, which is reasonable, but now I can just daze the Innocent Blood. Ponder. I'd love to reveal Ponder. So I think I want to keep the Phantasmal Bear, and then Ponder, preordain away the other two. Vapor Snag doesn't seem super in this situation, since they likely have no creatures in their deck. I suppose theoretically I should have played Ponder first, in case I drew like actual counterspell. So yeah, it's very easy to play suboptimally with this deck, especially if you're me. Okay. Just got to mill my deck a little bit. Seems reasonable. One nice thing about Phantasmal Bear, got Echoing Decay protection. Got him. So yeah, Vapor Snag's not super. Snap is okay, I guess. It's, you know, it has the potential to come back in again, but because they don't always have Gurmag Anglers. Like sometimes they'll board in Gurmag Anglers, sometimes they'll have like 1 or 2 in their deck. But you know, I'll focus on the cards I actively want first. And yeah, well, that's about it. So like we can theoretically bring in a null since they have Curse of the Bloody Tome, and they likely have Pristine Talismans, which seems reasonable to me. Or we can just bring in Snap again as like a mild hedge against like a Gurmag Angler, and also it's not completely useless at saving our own creatures from, you know, removal spells. Like the Curse of the Bloody Tome maybe isn't super relevant, but the Pristine Talismans are. So I would definitely like to counter one of those. I think I'll just play safe on not having like a dead card. Like Curse of the Bloody Tome takes quite a long time to kill us, and even if it's in play for, you know, a good 10 turns or something, we can still usually beat that. So like annulling it isn't that important compared to maybe keeping like one last threat alive and hitting them with a ninja or something. This seems like a reasonable hand. It's a bit land heavy for what I want against this deck. Let's see. So is there any possibility I'm not playing a Fairy Miscreant on turn 1? I don't think there is, so I'm going to hold the Gitaxian Probe till next turn, so I'll be better informed as to whether I'm going to be trying to ninja them or hold up Sprite. I mean, it is possible that I should have like maybe held it for this turn, so then play like Miscreant into Miscreant. But I get the impression that if they want this to die, it's probably going to die. Whether I play it this turn or next. And like the benefits of them maybe having like a clunky hand and being able to ninja them on turn 2 are just too high. Yeah, there we go. So, Gitaxian Probe. Time to write some stuff down. So this is like an interesting hand for like the 2 lands that they have. Like Vicar's Justice, they're obviously still great, difficult to cast. I think I just want to play this and pass the turn. Unfortunately, there's quite a high chance like if they just didn't draw a land due to a removal spell. Think twice isn't awful either. And missed a land drop. Time to ninja them, get some value. I would love, absolutely love to draw Days here. I think Days would be unbelievable. Unfortunately, we didn't draw Days. But if they stumble again here, I think we're firmly in the driving seat, since like Spellstutter Sprite will be able to counter something relevant. And we've got like Gush for backup. I don't really want to Gush and attempt to Daze, since that will just reduce me to no lands and be unable to play this Spellstutter Sprite. You know, and I would like to be able to protect Ninja from removal spells if that's possible at all. Well. So these are not counter spells. I mean, I know that's stating the obvious, but I know they've got Justice, so like there's no point to take like Bear and like slap them into play. That, however, is absolutely ideal. I would have played another 1-drop in this situation, having just drawn this counter spell. Now these decks still don't have that many swamps, so even if I did actually play Bear, I probably wouldn't be horribly punished. I'm gonna go ahead and counter that one. Gotta just hold them down and punch them to death while they're stumbling. This is basically all you do with these decks. Okay. So they are gonna be able to dispel. It's pretty unfortunate sequence for me there, since I'd obviously much rather have this for their dispel. But hopefully Daze is gonna Gush rather is gonna draw us into some sweet cards. Two counter spells though, I think that's pretty ideal. We're beating them up a lot, we're drawing cards, gonna draw more cards, drew another Spellstutter Sprite, so everything's peachy. Still don't even need to cast these Gushes, since we're actually getting to do quite powerful things with all the lands that we have. So they're, you know, gonna play a land, they're priced into casting in Vicar's Justice with Dispel backup. I don't see it being a good idea not to. I suppose if they've just drawn, you know, a bunch of Doomblades since I last looked, it would be fine for them not to cast in Vicar's Justice. But it seemed by far the most likely scenario here. All right. Well, let's see what we draw from this ninja before making more decisions. I think the only way we lose from this situation is if they have like another Vicar's Justice with like another Dispel. And I could see us losing in that scenario. So I think I think I just want to make sure to hold up Counterspell. I mean, I guess I probably should have played one Phantasmal Bear there to make sure that we have like lethal on board. But I think we're really far ahead. Considering what we know about their hand, it doesn't really have too much going on. Mystical Teachings. I'm not gonna object to that, I don't think. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna gush here. If I draw like a Spell Stutter Sprite or a Daze, or a Snap, well, I don't really get too much out of the Snap mana. So yeah, I'm just gonna counterspell this. And they're entering the zone where they can't even cast an Invoker's Justice, because then they'll just die. Actually, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and double down on playing extra creatures here. I should have just played Bear, because playing out the Delver walks into Shrivel. Okay, it was a little bit of a comedy show there in that last game, but I had a good idea of what was going on. I feel like I probably could have done that a little bit better, but we still managed to win the match anyway, so that's nice.